I'll first begin by saying I've known Gary since 2009, back when he was practicing dentistry. And he's always been a guy who asks a lot of why questions. And a lot of this is going to make sense in a moment. But ultimately, I think what you're here for right now is for more clients, better clients who pay more, trust you faster, and also ways to be able to connect and influence, be a master communicator, and also provide more value. And then if you have customers and clients, you want to keep them longer. And the way you keep them longer is when they feel understood and when they feel valued and know that they're more effective with you. So if you have a team, you want them to be more engaged, or you want to find an entry point to be able to charge more for whatever you're doing, the YOS is the most effective way I've found in doing so. And if you're using tools, for example, like Colby or DISC or Enneagram or any of those, the why is a tool to use before all of those. When you know someone's why, you know what motivates them, you know their values. So ultimately, you want to spend more time in your superpower. You want your team to spend more time in your superpower, and you want to provide more value. So the YOS is a fantastic tool to do that. And what's going to happen today is Gary's going to give it to you. You're going to have a chance. If you haven't done the YOS, you'll be able to do it. And that's on Gary and his team. And we also have members of Gary's team here as well. And I know Gary will most likely introduce those. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the baton over, which is Gary Sanchez is an awesome human being. He's got an amazing tool. We use it for every single person we work with, every person on our team, and we use it as an entry point now to gain access to people to provide more value. And I'm 100% certain you're going to be able to do the same and also see some opportunities to make it integral in your business, but also to provide more value and charge more for whatever it is you're doing. All right. So why don't you take it away, Gary?
Awesome, Mike. Thank you. I appreciate the introduction. Dan, I appreciate the introduction. On our team that's here, we've got my daughter, Bella. Raise your hand, Bella. She does all of our graphic design, our blogs, our podcasts. You'll see everything that's really pretty. Bella and actually Aiden, raise your hand as well. Those two are the ones responsible for that, all of our social media. They're the ones that make us look good. And so I appreciate them being here. And Mike, thank you so much for that introduction. So what we're going to do today, Mike and I talked about this earlier. I'm not going to just talk to you about this. I'm going to just give it to you. You guys are going to get to experience everything right here today in the next hour so that you can see how it all works. You're going to get to feel how it works. You're going to get to touch it, use it. And I'm going to treat you actually as though you're one of our prospects. So we're going to take you through that process yourself so that you'll know how to attract, connect, and close your ideal client using the why, how, and what every time. And it's like immediate. So I think we should just jump in, Mike. We got a lot to cover today. So I'm going to jump right in.
Take it away. I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. How many of you guys, raise your hand, have ever had a bad client? Ever had a bad client? So, Gabriel, no bad clients? There we go. I want you to think about their name. Think about that person. Who are they? Think of their name. Think of what it feels like when you see their name on your calendar or you know you're going to have a call with them. I mean, what does that feel like internally? And eventually, maybe you had to refund their money. Eventually, you had to release them back into the wild. And then I want you to compare that with, excuse me, I got a hoarse voice today, of course. I want you to compare that with your ideal client. Think of that person that you just love seeing their name on the schedule. You love when they show up. They're going to listen to everything you talk about. They're going to implement it. They're going to refer their friends to you. Think of their name and what it's like to spend time with them. So how do we get you more of your ideal clients? How do we get you more the ones that love being with you, appreciate you, value you? Because, you know, what if there was a way to quickly know If your prospect is the right fit for you, if you're the right fit for your prospect, what if you could create a plan for them that they would love every time? What if you knew how to talk to them so that they feel understood and valued? What if you had the right words to clearly articulate your value? What if you could take all of that and translate that into bigger income, bigger impact, being able to scale, being able to do that every single time? That's what I'm going to show you today. So this is for you if you're somebody that really wants to get clear on who are you and who is your ideal client. If you're somebody that wants to stand out for that special thing that you have, that special gift, and you want to know what it is, and you're somebody that wants to play bigger, maybe you feel like you've been playing too small and you want to play bigger. And ultimately, if you're somebody who's looking for a better way, then today this is for you, because that's who we're looking for. We're looking for people that are looking for a better way. So what I'm going to share with you is different and unique for 3 reasons. Number 1, this is practical. I'm not going to share with you a concept that you can't do anything with. I'm not going to share with you parts of it and then have you try to buy it later. I'm going to share with you everything today, and you're going to be able to implement it right away. This is proven. We've done this with hundreds of thousands of people, and we've taken thousands of companies through this process. And it is a process. And what's really cool about a process is that it's like a recipe. You follow the process, you get the result. So I'm going to share with you that process today and walk you right through it. So everybody have their worksheet. Anybody not have their worksheet? If you don't, go to the chat and we'll put a link to it. But you want to have your worksheet out, and you need to have your phone. So hopefully you got your phone with you, because you're going to be able to use it. Because we're going to give you the YOS discovery with a QR code that you're going to be able to use on your phone. So let's get going. The 2 most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. I want to share with you a little video that where you can see the difference between not knowing your why and knowing your why. So let's watch this together and see what you learn. Okay.
The series is called How Do I Know? And a lot of series is called How Do I Know? And a lot of times when people hear the phrase, how do I know? The next thing they say is what? How do I know what? But the key really isn't to know what. The key is to know why. Because when you know your why, you have options on what your what can be. For instance, my why is to inspire people to walk in purpose. My what is stand-up comedy. My what is writing books. My what can be going out with some friends to eat. In fact, another what that has moved me towards my why is a web series that we have out now called Break Time. So every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, you should subscribe to the channel. We do a series called Break Time on YouTube. So 3 o'clock, we drop a new episode. One episode in particular, I'm about to show you a clip to. We were in Winston-Salem. So break time, this is how it works. I travel the country, I do stand-up comedy, probably an hour, hour and a half at an event. And in the middle of my show, I'll just sit down and start talking to the audience. And funny just happens. Or I'll meet somebody who's really interesting. So I met this one guy, and he said that he teaches music at a school. I was like, all right, you teach music, can you sing? And then I'm just going to show you the clip. Check it. So you're a musical director. Cool.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let me get a couple bars of like Amazing Grace. Can you do the first part of that? Go ahead.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me.
Wow. That bro could sing. You know what I'm saying? All right. Now, what you give me the version is if your uncle just got out of jail, you got shot in the back when you was a kid. I'm just saying, let me see the hood version real quick, if you know which version I'm talking about. Just see if that exists. Let me see what you got.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. Right now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. So here's the thing. The first time I asked him to sing, he knew what he was doing. The second time I asked him to sing, he knew why he was doing it. When you know your why, your what has more impact because you're walking in or towards your purpose.
So what'd you guys think of that? Go to the chat room real quick. Type into the chat room what you saw right there. Dan, I know you're super, Dan's going to be super active in the chat room as well. But think about this. The first time he sang, was it bad? No, it was already really good, right? So what did you guys notice? I'm going to go to the chat room and look here myself because, oh, and Watson's here. Hey, Watson. What did you guys notice? So goosebumps on the second. You could feel his message. Exactly. Purpose, depth, new context, more impact, right? You saw what happened with the audience. They were sitting down the first time, and the second time they were standing up, they were bowing to him. So this is what I really want you to get out of this. The same singer, the same song from a different perspective got a completely different result. So what you're doing is already really good, but when you look at it and see it from the perspective of your why, that's when it will have a bigger impact. And that's why it is so critical for you to know your why. You can't fake it. You can't sort of know your why. You can't kind of know your why. You've got to know it so that you can then take it and apply it in your business and in your life. And so eventually it will answer the question, why should I choose you? Why should I choose you over everybody else who does what you do? And that really leads to my story because, recently I was watching Steve Jobs' commencement speech at Stanford, and he talked about you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect the dots looking back. There's so many things that happened in your life to get you right now to where you are today that you probably didn't expect. So many, whys in the road that you took one and you ended up where you are today. And I want today to be one of those special days that when you look back, you're going to see what an impact it made for me to be able to learn my why, my how, and my what, my YOS. And that's really my story because like Mike said, I was actually a dentist. This is a picture of me graduating from USC Dental School in 1988. I'm that guy on the right. And the advice that I was given was probably similar to the advice that you guys were all given, which is build a great product and people will come, right? Go out and do the best job you can and people will naturally and mysteriously find out about you. Whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a coach, whether you're in business, they all say, just do the best job you can and things will turn out well for you. And so I took that to heart and I spent 20 years going to the highest levels that you could get to in dentistry. I worked with the best mentors, the best institutes. I built a beautiful facility, all the latest technology, a really well-trained team. And 20 years later, this is where I ended up. My practice wasn't growing like I thought it would. That's a picture of me sitting in my office, looking at my computer screen at my half-empty schedule, wondering how could this have happened to me? How could I have spent so much time and money and energy and not gotten the results or had the impact that I thought I would? And in that moment, I realized what I'd been doing was looking outside of myself for answers. If I buy another piece of technology, if I hire another person, that's going to change it for me. I had to take that mirror that I'd been pointing on everything else and point it at myself and say, who am I? Why do I do what I do? What is that special thing that I have? And that's when I learned about Simon Sinek and that TED Talk he did. And I'm sure most of you have seen that TED Talk. What Simon talks about is everybody knows what they do. I'm a lawyer, I'm a chiropractor, I'm a coach, I'm a businessman, businesswoman. Some know how they do what they do. And by how, we mean, what is that proprietary process that you think makes you different? He said, but very few know why they do what they do. And by why, we mean, what is your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? And it's the inspiring companies like Apple, Southwest Airlines, inspiring people like Martin Luther King and Steve Jobs that start with their why, then tell you how they do what they do. And lastly, what it is they do that connects to you in a completely different way that allows you to make a decision because it feels right. And when I heard that, I was like, that's what I'm missing. I know my what, but I don't know my why. And that's when I called Simon and I said, Simon, I need you to help me discover my why. So he and I spent about 8 months together going back through my life, looking for clues as to why I do what I do. And once I figured out my why is to find a better way and then share it. Everything in my life is all about finding better ways and sharing them with other people. Once I realized that, my life made so much more sense to me. I've got lots of patents and products and inventions that are all better ways of doing things. So I took what I learned from Simon and I applied it to my practice, and my practice took off. This was back in 2010. I knew my why. I built my messaging, marketing, branding, all based on my why, and my practice took off. We went from barely getting by 3 to 4 new patients a month to 35 to 45 new patients a month. And in my practice, a new patient is worth about $6,000. So it was very lucrative. I mean, best year, most satisfaction, most fun, most income. I can tell you that abundance is a heck of a lot more fun than just getting by. And so I took what I learned from Simon, and I started doing this for other dentists. I started getting calls from them saying, will you help me do what I did? And so I started helping them discover their why, build their messaging, marketing, branding, all based on their why, and their practices started taking off. And then I started getting calls from lawyers and chiropractors, and the businesses kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But the most important thing that I learned during this time was when you talk about what you do, you blend in with everybody else who does what you do. Think about that for a minute. When you talk about what you do, you blend in with everyone else who does what you do. If you say, hey, I'm a dentist, you know, what comes to mind? You blend in with everybody else who's a dentist. When you say I'm a coach or I'm a lawyer, you blend in with everybody else who does what you do. But when you focus on your why, that what you do has more impact and you become more influential. And that's what you saw with that singer. And that's what you saw with my practice. And that's what you saw with everybody that I worked with that I did the same thing with. Help them discover their why, built their messaging, marketing, and branding based on their why, and their practices and businesses took off. And so in 2016, I started the Why Institute, where we help people discover their why and take them through the process I was just telling you about. We've done this now with over 1,000 companies. We've done this with hundreds of thousands of people. And so in doing that, we started to notice patterns and trends and similarities. And we figured out that there's only 9 different whys. That was the most important thing that we discovered because we believe that there's 9 whys and everybody has one of them. And you're going to get to discover yours here in just a minute. In 2021, we launched the YOS Discovery. The YOS Discovery does your why, your how, your what, and creates your message for you. And so it's the operating system that drives you, and it's also your external message that attracts the right people to you. And so originally I was only going to give you the why discovery, but we decided I'm going to give you everything. So you're going to get to take the YOS Discovery, know your why, your how, your what, and it'll develop your message for you because it's a better way to know you. It's a better way to articulate who you are to the marketplace that allows you to attract those people to you. So what I want to do now is I want to go through the 9 whys with you so that you can see what the 9 whys are. So make sure you get your form. All right, let's go through the 9 whys. The first why. So write this down. The first why is contribute. Write down contribute. To contribute to a greater cause, make a difference, add value, or have an impact in the lives of others. These are people that want to help. They don't have to be the thing. They don't have to be the focus, but they want to contribute to it in a meaningful way. They use their time, their money, their energy, their connections to push other people forward. The second why is trust. To create relationships based upon trust. To be the trusted source, to be the one that others can count on. If you can count on them and they can count on you, the sky is the limit. There's nothing they can't do. The third why is make sense. To make sense out of things, especially if complex or complicated. These are people that are great problem solvers. You can pretty much dump all your stuff onto them and they'll quickly synthesize it down to that thing that's keeping you stuck, help you understand it and move forward. So they help you move forward by helping you solve your problems, and they do it really, really fast. The fourth why is my why, which is better way. To find a better way and share it. These are people that are great at taking something that's already there, innovating it, improving upon it, and making it better. They're rarely satisfied and always trying to make things better. The fifth why is right way. To do things the right way in order to get results. These are structure, process, systems people. They take the ideas that the rest of us have and create structure around making them happen in a predictable way because they love consistency and predictability. The sixth why is Mike's why, which is challenge, to think differently and challenge the status quo, to think outside the box. They don't like to follow the rules. They don't like to do things the traditional way. They come up with their own way that creates extraordinary results. The seventh why is mastery, to seek mastery and understanding. These are people that like depth and breadth and detail. They take the simple and make it complex by diving very deep into it. They look for the nuances, the little things that make the big difference. The eighth why is clarify, to make crystal clear and understandable. These are people that need to be fully understood and fully heard. They're the one in class that asks lots of questions because they want to be completely clear on what the question is and then very clear on the answer. They're the one that writes you the long text or the long email because they want to be fully heard. And the last why is simplify, to decrease complexity and make simple, easy to understand. These are people that take the complex and break it down to its simplest form because when it's simple, it's easy to understand and easy to use. They want things direct, to the point. Don't give them the fluff. Be direct. So those are the 9 whys. And that was a very quick overview of them, but I want you to see what they are because you're going to see this as you discover your YOS, your why, how, and what. Now, like Einstein says, if everyone is a genius, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. But if you judge that fish by its ability to swim, you will see its genius come to life. And it's the same thing with each one of us. We all have that genius inside of us. We just need to know what it is to be able to utilize it. So I want to share with you now the 3 secrets to attracting, connecting with, and closing your ideal client. The first secret, so write this down. The first secret is you've got to know yourself. You've got to know your YOS. That is the first step. When you're trying to figure out how to perform at the highest level, when you're trying to figure out how to connect, attract, and close your ideal clients, the first step is knowing yourself. It's the start here button. Now, there's a lot of great assessments out there. There's Myers-Briggs, Colby, Strength Finders, Giant. I mean, I could go on and on and on, and they're really, really good. But those are how you take action and not why you take action. So the first step is knowing your YOS. And so we're going to do that right now. Your YOS, like I said, is your why, your how, and your what. And Michael, you shut up just at the perfect time because we are about to discover your YOS. So what I want you to do is get your phone out. The YOS will take you about 8 minutes. I'm going to give you 10. But what I want you to do is get your phone out and use this QR code. It should take you right to it. And then you can discover your YOS. And when you've done that, come back to the chat room and let us know what it is. Tell us your why, how, and what. And here's where you're going to end up. And then what I want you guys to do that have completed it, go ahead and add that to your form. Write it onto your form, your why, how, and what. And scroll down a little bit on your phone and you'll get to your simple YOS, which looks like this. And then put your simple YOS onto your form as well. Just write it right on there. So in my YOS, when you just saw me come on, when Mike gave me that great introduction, you knew a little bit about me because of what he said. But when you look at my why of better way, my how of clarify, and my what of simplify, you see so much more depth into who I am. So my why is to find a better way and share it. How I do that is by making things clear and understandable. And ultimately what I bring is a simple solution, a simple way to move forward so that everybody can do it. And so now you have a lot more insight into who you're talking to. When you see my picture, you could create a narrative, but now you actually know. So you go from a narrative and what you think to actually what you're seeing. And so I know I don't want to get too far ahead of Gabriel. You getting close?
Go ahead. I'll catch up.
Okay, you'll catch up. So I want to jump into the second secret now. The second secret is you've got to know your client. You've got to know their why. How are you going to talk to them if you don't even know who they are? What typically happens is you rely on hope. I hope I ask them enough questions. I hope I spend enough time with them to get to know them, to get a feel or a sense of who I'm talking to. But what if you just knew? What if you knew their YOS? And so that's the second step. Maybe there's times where you've sat down with a client and it feels like this, where it's just like, we're not connecting. We're not on the same path. We just don't see eye to eye. And so once you know their YOS, then you can connect to them in a completely different way because you know what language they speak. So if all you speak is Spanish and all they speak is English, how likely is it you're going to be able to connect, right? Not very well. So let's take Steve Jobs, for example. If you just look at his picture and you know what he's done, you can create a narrative around what you think you see. But when you know that his why is to challenge the status quo, how he does that is by finding better ways. And ultimately what he brings is a simple solution, or his why of challenge, his how of better way, is what of simplify. Now you see a lot more into what you're looking at. You see a lot more than just that picture. Let me give you another example. Oprah Winfrey. We all know her for her TV show and her own magazine and all the things that she's done, but you don't really know what you're looking at until you know her why of trust, creating relationships based upon trust, being that trusted source, her how of making sense of complex and challenging issues, and her what of finding better ways to help people move forward. And now you see her not for just the narrative that you've created. Now you understand what's actually happening inside of her and how to connect with her. And we'll dive deeper into that in just a moment. But you realize their special gift. You realize what you're really looking at and what makes them special. And so the third secret that we want to talk about is you've got to use the platinum rule. So write that down. Use the platinum rule. So what is the platinum rule? If you want to get someone to the handshake, if you want to close the deal, if you want to be able to have an impact in their life, if you want to be able to move them forward, then you've got to use the platinum rule. So the golden rule is treat others the way you want to be treated, right? The platinum rule is treat others the way they want to be treated. Speak in their language and not just your language. So if you wanted to connect with me and you know that my why is better way, clarify, simplify, you better share with me how your idea is better, or what you want to sell me is better. You better sell me on how, or show me how it's clear and understandable. And you better show me how it's simple and easy to use, or I'm not going to think you understand me. We're not going to connect. But if you said, hey, Gary, I got this new product, or I got this new process that I want to share with you, but let me show you how it's better. Let me show you how it's clear and easy to use. And let me show you how it's simple. Then I'm all in. But if you don't show me that, I'm not. Same thing if we talk about Oprah. Show Oprah how it's going, what you have is going to create more trust for her or more trust with her audience. Show her how it makes sense and show her how it's better than what's currently out there. She's all in. If you don't show her that, then she's not. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with each of you. So, Matthew, if I show you how it's better, if I show you how it's different, if I show you how it makes sense, how do you feel about it, right? That's what you're looking for. Each one of us, it's all about your why, how, and what is your decision-making process. It's the way you make decisions. If it meets those three criteria, then you're all in. If it doesn't meet those, then you're not in. And it's the same thing with your prospect. So when you know that of your prospect and you meet those three things, their why, how, and what, then they are all in and they will move forward. And if you don't, they won't. And so that's how you communicate better when you see why to why. That's how you know how you fit together and where you will fit. You'll know who your ideal client is based on your YOS, but you'll connect to them based on their YOS. And so we talked about this. What if there was a better way to know your prospect is the right prospect for you? What if there was a better way to know you are the right fit for your prospect? What if there was a way that you could create a plan for them that they will love, or how to talk to them so they feel understood and valued, or if you had the right words to clearly articulate your value? And you will now, based on your why, how, and what. And so, you know what I think we'll do? I didn't even know that that Watson was going to be here. So why don't I bring on Watson? And how has knowing your YOS and your client's YOS allowed you to do what we're talking about right here? Close more, attract, connect, and close more clients. How has it worked for you, Watson?
The real benefit for me is, and I've seen this and I've admired it in people who were intuitively very powerful with the platinum rule. They had great instincts about what the other person wanted. And I didn't possess that, but I knew that it was valuable. And this framework, especially if I have a chance to know their YOS, has really given me a very useful, applicable, actionable method for getting better at that. And so, I understand the 9 whys, and I go, oh, well, I can see this person must be a challenge. But if I know it in advance, because often for the team events that I do, the leader will do a YOS with me, I can attempt to fold that in. And I literally write in my notes reminders to think about it that way. But that's the framework to kind of fuel the platinum rule has really been helpful and impactful.
It uncovers it for you, right? I mean, it's so simple now that you know their YOS. You know exactly how to talk to them.
It's easy to kind of go, I want to do this, but it's really helpful to have a framework, and a framework that's intentionally not complex to work within for that type of insight.
I love it. I love it. And we could bring on Chris Kenny as well. You know what, Chris? Real quickly, there you are. Again, I didn't know you were going to be here, but since you are, how has it helped you to connect at a deeper level, move people forward, move them from prospect to client, utilizing the YOS?
Yeah, so I think the sequence that you articulated is a good one. First, you got to know yourself, the Oracle at Delphi, know thyself, right? So this gives you a simple way to do that. And so what that means is that I bring a certain lens to the relationship with them. And it's useful to be self-aware of, how am I showing up, right? And which is both good and bad, right? And so, but it's the awareness of it. That's one. Second, when you know how the other person is showing up, if you know their YOS, it makes it easier to apply the platinum rule, first of all, as Watson said. And second of all, it enables me to sort of understand that information through my own filter. So for example, mine is clarify, make sense, mastery. I know that my default position is going to be to ask a bunch of questions. Sometimes I will presume that I know the answers before I really do. So I think that's the mastery thing, is that, I do, there's a lot of content knowledge there, but I got to be careful not to jump ahead and instead really approach it from the standpoint of the other person's YOS, so that whatever value I can deliver to them, I'm going to deliver it to them in the manner in which they like to receive information, as opposed to the way I like to give it. So I think in that sense, it's helped me quite a bit.
Awesome, Chris. Thank you. Thanks for being here. And let me keep sharing here. So you can utilize the YOS not only in your relationships, first your relationship with yourself, then with your significant other and your kids. You can use it when you're coaching to help people get on the right career path, if that's the type of coaching you do. And then you can also utilize it in their business, in helping them build their teams. Bring on the right person, put the right person on the bus and in the right seat. When you base it on their YOS, it becomes so much easier. So there's so many different applications that we could dive in deeper on a different webinar. But really what we want to look at is, what are the next steps for you? What would be the next place for you to apply this? Do you see the value in applying this to your business or to your coaching practice? And so we put together 3 next steps for you. The next step would be utilizing this in your own business, getting YOS certified, like Chris Kenny, like Watson Jordan, and like Joe Lander. Or if you have more questions and you want to dive deeper, you can book a call with Dan, where he can walk you deeper and step by step through more of the process. Or if you have a business and you want to bring this to your team, maybe like Gabriel, bring this to your law firm so that you know, who do I have on my team? How do we all fit together? How can we push forward, living our why while pushing the why of the organization forward? There's a process for doing that in the Team YOS. And so what does getting certified look like? There should be a chat a link in the chat room on how to get certified. But let me share with you what some of the other, in fact, Watson's right here.
What the why process has done for me is to get clear with my own why, so that I can make a bigger impact for all of my clients.
The biggest result, breakthrough, and transformation for me since my why discovery and then on to become, to understand my YOS, has been the ability to put language to what drives me.
I found that the Why Discovery, the Why Institute, is much more than just a certification course. It really helped me align with who I am at my core authentically.
Why Discovery really helps a person understand why they do what they do. And it goes beneath behaviors and attitudes and feelings to the root of who they are. And so when we know why we do what we do, we talk about it has more impact. You don't lose your way. It's more intentional, more purposeful.
And I went through the certification of this program. Everything made so much sense that this now is the entry point for working with me. I've got to know people's why, how, and what to partner with them.
It's a cornerstone to build from. It's not an end in itself. And so if you had to spend a bunch of time helping someone get to the point where they were comfortable with an answer that you knew was temporary, you can replace it with the YOS and I love to say this now, this is my, it's fast, it's fun, and it's insightful.
This has changed my life and all of my clients.
Exactly. And so this is the starting point. This is the first step. You already do what you do really well. This is the step to take a prospect, to go from prospect to client, and then to know your client in a way that you never have before, where you can design your program, design your process, design your team, all based on their YOS, so that it's more powerful, so that it all fits together and it feels right. And so what's included in the YOS certification? So it's an online course that I walk you through step by step on diving deep into the 9 whys, the characteristics, the challenges, the solutions, how to use your why, how, and what in different types of relationships, from parenting to business, what careers would be the best for you, famous people that have your YOS, what people would say about you, phrases that you would say, so much depth to that. And you all have that, as a matter of fact, in your dashboard. So you can go experience that as well. You also have, when you're YOS certified, you'll have a coach dashboard where you send your Y discoveries and your YOS discoveries, and all of your clients end up on that dashboard where you can work with them from there. Dan has a weekly Why Not Wednesday, and he has a monthly Why to Why online program where he features coaches, where he promotes you and you get to talk about what you do. We have a Beyond Your Why podcast where I've interviewed fascinating people like Mike Koenigs that so you can see how their why is played out in their life. So we talk about one of the 9 whys, and then I interview somebody with that why, so you can see how their why is played out in their life. But you can use those for your clients to help them gain even more insight into their own why. And so there's a lot more. I mean, I could go, there's a community of YOS certified coaches. We have a monthly call where we update you on the newest and latest that we've developed. And there's just more. There's an annual meeting. I could go on, but what does this cost? What does it cost to get YOS certified? It's $39.97. And so that will take you through all the certifications and get you ready to go. And so what Mike and I talked about was, how can we make this a complete no-brainer for people that get certified? And so what we decided to do for Mike's group was to offer something where it just becomes a no-brainer. Once you're certified, you're probably thinking, now, how am I going to monetize this? How am I going to use this? How am I going to get my money back? If I spent $4,000, how am I going to get that back? What we decided to do was, when our coaches get certified, what we teach them to do is to not charge for just the assessment or the why discovery. What we want them to do is charge for the why discovery and the YOS discovery, and then a consultation with them. And so some of our coaches charge $500 for that. Some of them charge $1,500 for that. But if all you did was, so what we're going to do, one of the bonuses we're giving away today is 8 free YOS discoveries. And so for that, if you just charged $500 for that, not $1,000 or $1,500, 8 times 500 would give you your money back right away. So what I would recommend you do, and the same thing, Joe, is as you're taking the YOS certification, be picking out your 8 prospects or your 8 clients that you want to now take to the YOS, discover their YOS. Book them while you're doing your YOS certification, so that by the time you're done, you're going to get some free Y discoveries in the course and some free YOS discoveries to practice with. But save these 8 for the ones that you want to take from prospect to client, or from client to not knowing their YOS to knowing their YOS. Charge them a minimum of $500. You will get it back right away. So book that during your first week. Another way that you can do that is through scale. What's really great is being able to scale your efforts. So we have the team YOS, which we're teaching you, which now you don't just have to work one-to-one. This just happens every week for us. But last week in particular, I worked with a big furniture company here in town, starting with the CEO. First thing, after you do the YOS for the CEO, the very first thing they say is, I got to have this for my team. So I said, why don't we do your entire organization? He said, no, I want to just start with the with the executive team. So we brought in the executive team and worked with them. And of course, after that experience, they're like, we got to have this for everybody. So in 2 weeks, we're doing it for their entire organization. So very quickly you can scale. Instead of just one-on-one, you'll learn how to do this for teams where you work one to many. So how we charge for that, just so you know, is for the first 5 people, it's $2,500 and then $250 per person after that. We're looking at doing that now with a company that has 100,000 employees. So there's amazing ways for you to scale this, because then you can get your investment back very quickly. Go to the chat room and there's a link where you can just go straight there. Any questions? Anybody got a question that I didn't answer?
I do. And I think Dan just hit the nail on the head. So here's the way I look at this is if you're a coach, what you're going to see when let's say you give away the YOS as a lead generator, and you can charge for this too, but let's say you find someone who's qualified, you'd say, do you know what your why is? Start a conversation. Doesn't matter if it's online, doesn't matter if it's in person, maybe you met them somewhere. You can share the link and book them for a follow-up, and then go through it with them. And once they feel understood and heard, you naturally transition into how you can help them. So whether you're a coach or a business owner, if you're an attorney, this is a way to start a high value conversation. And you get to talk to someone about their very favorite subject in the whole wide world, which is them. And that naturally leads to, if that individual is a business owner, could you do this for my team also? And the answer is yes. And Gary, what are you charging right now for a YOS workshop for corporate clients, whether it's virtual or in person?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying is 25 for the 100 for the first 5 people, and then 250 a person after that. But you guys can charge anything you want, right? Mm-hmm. So it's up to you, whatever you want to charge, even at speaking events. So you can do put on a workshop. I'm doing one in Oregon in a couple of weeks, and they guaranteed me a minimum of 50 people. So it's, $12,500 to go and speak at an event where then all of them are potential clients. So you get paid to speak, get paid to take them through discovering their YOS, and then take them to the next step. So
that's right. So I think that the net is, this is a methodology that you can use in any business to get to know your client better, talk to them, start a deep conversation, build that trust, and then enroll them in either doing YOS or actually using this for whatever the business you're in. And it's also that gateway to go in and do group opportunities as well. So again, the way we're using it right now, I do this with all of my prospects, all of my clients, and I use it actually as to whether or not we determine if we're going to work with them. In other words, if I don't like who I think they are or what their values are, I just say, I don't think I want to work with you. I'm that direct, okay? But no matter what industry you're in, I've found that this is a great way to start a deep conversation, learn a lot more. It opens people up, and it's a very, very effective tool. So ultimately, it means you're going to shorten your sales cycle, you're going to close faster, and it also enables you to go deeper faster, which means you can increase your prices. So that's just some of the reason why. And here's something else that's important. The training you get from Gary and team is extraordinary. Gary tapped on this, but you've got access to recorded training. You've got regular webinars. They're always available and always coming up with new ways to use the tool in your business as well.
That is the essence of your messaging. Your why, how, and what is what you need to talk about on your website so that you attract the right people to you. For all of you, use your why, your how, your what to develop your branding and your messaging, because that's who you want. So not only is it your ideal client, it's also your internal processing and decision-making and your external messaging. So Matthew, if you were at an event, well, you know what? I'll go to Kim, because Kim, your why, how, and what are contribute, make sense, trust.
Correct.
Okay, so if you were to speak at an event, you get up on stage and you've got your ideal clients in the or prospects in the audience. And you started by saying, my why is to contribute, add value, have an impact in the lives of other people. How I go about doing that is by making sense of the complex and challenges that they're facing. And ultimately, what I bring is a trusting relationship where they can count on me to help them move forward. Now, everything you say after that is going to be proof of what you just told them.
Right.
Because otherwise, they're going to sit and look at you and they'll say, I wonder who this Kim is. They're going to be going through trying to figure out who you are until you just tell them who you are. And then everything else is proof of that. Same thing with you, Matthew. But how did that feel to you, Kim?
Oh, that was spot on. And I'm actually in the process of, getting some, things out to the chamber and updating my website and this was so perfect timing. I can't even tell you how perfect that was. So thank you so much.
For sure. That's the essence of, and so you're not going to build your messaging around your Colby or your DISC or your Myers-Briggs or any of those, but you better build it around your why, how, and what, because that's where your message comes from. That is the authentic message you need to use to attract the right people to you that are going to value you. And that once you know their YOS, you speak to them in their language so that you can close them and move them to the next step where you actually have an impact in their life. Absolutely. Nothing happens until money's exchanged, right? Mm-hmm. It's all just talk. And absolutely. So, I wish we had more time, and I know we're over time, and I thank all of you that are still here. And Mike's got some last thing to say, I can tell.
I was just going to say one thing, Kim, you nailed it there. First, because think of it like this. Here's another way to use the YOS. Let's say you're working on marketing material for you or someone, and you can do the YOS with your clients, your past clients, and understand and see the patterns. Now you can adjust your storytelling, your copy, so it focuses on them, right? Talk to them in a language they understand, but getting that clarity is so valuable. And just imagine being able to do this with in a workshop environment with employees. You're going to create deep resonance, create connection, and everyone's going to feel much more purposeful and valuable as well. Right. So, my highest recommendation right now, if you haven't already done it, book a call with Daniel. He's awesome. He's going to help you figure out how you can best use the YOS in your business, no matter what industry you're in, and also tailor it for your personality and the personality of your ideal client, and also walk you through how the tool works, because it's really, really easy. You got to see it today. You got a whole back-end dashboard. It is really, really well produced. And I just think the YOS is going to increase in capabilities over time. And, now's the time to get in while it's still super, super affordable. I've told Gary for a long time, you should triple what he's charging for this thing. So get in now while you can, before he takes my advice and increases his prices. So that's what I got for you, Gary. All right.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you all for being here, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.